Hi there, welcome. I'm Kevin Roberts for the NBA DFS build for DraftKings on Thursday night, 1/11. We have a nice four-game slate, nice change of pace. Not a whole lot of injury news yet that could shake things up. I guess we can keep an eye out for whether or not LeBron James will finally be out after being listed questionable every day this year, basically. And, obviously if Giannis is out or SGA or something crazy, the slate gets flipped on its side. I decided I wasn't going to wait much longer to push this out just because it's only 4 games. We already know Luka's out, and that's kind of shaping rosters a bit for us anyways. So I'm just going to walk through each game and just give you which guys I like and just kind of give you insight as to how I'm approaching tonight's slate. So overall, I'm just going to do a single entry. It's 4 games. I'm just going to do one lineup probably. So big single entry and, eat a little bit of chalk and make the right adjustments and hope for the best. So starting off, we have Boston at Milwaukee. The Bucks are at home, 4-point favorites. Four-point favorites. Both these teams should be at full strength. Dame Lillard is back. Campaign is back. I think the only guy in doubt would be Porzingis for Boston, but it seems like he should be back too. He did not play last night. If you look at Boston's side, these are player point projections, courtesy of rotogrinders.com. Nobody really stands out. Anytime Boston's healthy, nobody is going to look like an amazing play. Looking at this, Pritchard is now a little bit too expensive for me. I guess Porzingis looks the best to me, but I just don't think anybody is a major priority. I will say it is a little interesting to get Jason Tatum at almost no ownership in a matchup like this. Should be a fast-paced game, and Celtics and Bucks always come to play when they take each other on. So I think Porzingis is probably the best value here, but the best play for Boston is going to be Tatum. Having said that, I don't think I'm going to be targeting the Celtics on this slate. On the Bucks side, you can always make a case for Giannis, especially when he's going to be 11% owned. So that's what he's coming in at right now. However, he's very expensive. He's by far the priciest option on the slate. And, Boston is not an easy matchup by any means. So for GPPs, you can totally play him. There is enough value to do that. I personally will not be going that route. The only other guy that really is appealing here for me would be Damian Lillard. So he's back after sitting out a game for personal reasons. His projection's solid. His price is really nice. He does project for some ownership, but that's fine. He's not a priority for me because the matchup with Drew Holiday isn't great, but I do really like the price. If I land on Dame Lillard, I won't be sad about it. Moving on to Blazers and Thunder in OKC. Thunder are really big favorites here, and rightfully so. The Blazers got absolutely destroyed in their last game, and that's kind of going to be something we have to watch out for anytime we're playing them. Anthony Simons looks good price, solid projection. I do fear the blowout, and I don't love that he's projecting for 23% ownership at the moment. I think he's a fine play. Same with Jeremy Grant at 6'8". Duoff Reith is fine. But the only guy I really like here is actually Shadon Sharp. I think, he played 40 minutes 2 nights ago. He has been coming off the bench since returning from injury. So they're projecting him for 25 minutes and not an amazing projection. But if the game blows out, he could get more run. And I mean, he's just the type of guy who does a lot of things anyways. Good per minute producer. So I like Shadon Sharp a lot here. Not going to stack this game necessarily, and probably not going to force any other Blazers. Maybe Duoff Reith would be the second guy I look at just because, no DeAndre Ayton. He's going to get those center minutes. Not the best matchup, but 5'7" reasonable for what he can do. For OKC, I mean, pick your poison. All these guys are in play because the matchup's so good and they're at home. Blowout risk is probably the only main deterrent here. SGA is a smash play. He's got one of the best projections on the slate, and yet he's way cheaper than Giannis. So he looks like a really good spend up if you feel the need to go there. We'll talk just a little bit here that I don't really think you do, but I got no qualms about SGA. That said, if I'm going to prioritize an OKC guy, it's going to be Chet. Chet Holmgren is way cheaper. He projects for almost 40 fantasy points, and he has just monstrous upside, and it's a good matchup. So, again, really do fear the blowout potential in this game, but I think Chet can get there in 3/4 anyways, so I'm not going to resist putting him in my lineups at all. Moving to the Knicks and Mavs. This game actually is a tight spread, even with Luka out. A little surprising. Dante Exum is also out for the Mavs, and I believe Derek Lindsley. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Where is he? Let me make sure I'm Lindsley. So Derek Lively is questionable. Actually, is doubtful now. So. Yeah, a little bit interesting that Dallas is only 3-point underdogs here at home with Luka out and all these other solid role players out. But we'll take it for what it is. Starting on the Knicks side, nothing really stands out here. OG is actually a pretty good price, but his projections not very good. I like Isaiah Hartenstein, totally fine, although his price is, it's fine. It's not amazing. Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, both fine prices, good projections. So this is a stackable game. Might be the best game to stack on the slate if we can trust that the Mavs can keep this close. And you're probably I'm going to talk about it in a second, you're probably going to want Mavs on this slate. So, getting a run back or two of Knicks makes a lot of sense. I don't really have a lean here. Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are just very similar. They're getting a lot of run. They both project for like 47 fantasy points. They both project for ownership. Either one is totally fine. I don't have a lean. And then Hartenstein and OG are totally fine as well. I'm not really looking at any of the Knicks value. I'd really look at just those first four guys here. Dallas side is very interesting. On one hand, the usage for these guys with Luka out is going to be crazy. Like Kyrie Irving at 9K feels like an auto lock. Projects for 51 fantasy points. He's going to be super owned, especially in single entries, but I just don't really care. It's a 4-game slate, so fading a really nicely priced Kyrie with an amazing ceiling just feels like a bad idea. So I remember a few weeks ago we were in the same situation, but it was like a 9 or 10 game slate. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to fade 50% on Kyrie Irving because I can pivot to like Desmond Bane or something at the time. I don't like that logic here because of the ceiling and because the guys who you'd be pivoting to are going to be owned anyway. So if you're doing it just for an ownership play, it doesn't really make that much sense. I would reserve that for a bigger slate. Everybody else though is technically fadeable. Jaden Hardy, as if Jaden Hardy chalk has never done us wrong, right? Tim Hardaway Jr. These guys are absolutely in play. They're chalky for a reason. They're going to get a lot of run. So like, there's no real strong argument for fading them, and they're even nicely priced. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s price is coming out at 5.3. Jaden Hardy's 3.7. Excellent punt. So no qualms with using them. Jaden Hardy at 51% ownership, though, that would be the reason for fading Jaden Hardy. Number one, he has not always worked out. Number two, that's crazy ownership. So if he's going to be super owned, you could go grab somebody else like Seth Curry or Josh Green, or just flat out fade him and hope that fading Jaden Hardy doesn't come back to haunt you. I'm probably going to play him just because on a 4-game slate, there really isn't much value right now, but that is something to keep in mind. Also in play at a higher level than guys like Josh Green or Seth Curry would be Derek Jones Jr. and Dwight Powell. Derek Lively being out is pretty big for Powell as far as minutes. He should get about 25 to 30 minutes, hopefully. And then Grant Williams is also questionable. So if Grant Williams is also out, then that solidifies the minutes for DJJ and Dwight Powell. So all these Mavs guys look pretty good, and they look very playable, and I would consider running back with a nick or two. All right, last game of the night is an hour and a half after the Knicks and Mavs game starts, of course. Suns and Lakers, it's a 1-point spread in LA. The Lakers are favored. I'm sorry, Lakers are the underdogs here. And I just, the only guy that really is going to stand out is going to be the Lakers side. I will say for the Suns side, KD and Devin Booker are totally playable. There's nothing wrong with them. They just don't stand out. Devin Booker's price has come down, which is nice. I think I would prefer him over KD at this point just because of a major price discrepancy here. Yusuf Nurkic, fine. I don't want anything to do with Grayson Allen at that price. Eric Gordon is active for this game, but I don't want anything to do with him. Bradley Beal at 7 flat, projecting for 36 minutes. That is a little bit interesting. He hasn't really been, meeting expectations ever since arriving in Phoenix, but we know what he's capable of. So if he can get hot and get going in this matchup, that price and those minutes are definitely interesting to me. On the other side, you have the Lake Show. LeBron is questionable, like he always is. He's probably going to play. He projects really well. He's a decent pivot away from Anthony Davis if you like Anthony Davis, but the brow is the play here for the Lakers. He's got one of the best projections on the entire slate. I think it's the third best. Let's see if I put all these games on. Yeah, it's the third best projection on the entire slate. And Nurkic is a fine defender, but he's not going to stop Davis. So it's mostly Davis and James here. D'Lo's minutes are all over the place. Austin Reeves is just okay. I would probably just be looking at the two main Laker guys here. So overall, I'm looking at starting my build like everyone else, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to start it with my Mavs. I'm going to eat the Kyrie chalk for sure, and I'm probably going to play at least 2 other Mavs, maybe 3. And I don't think you have to run back with a Knicks player, especially since I'm very, very interested in playing Anthony Davis. But having a little bit of exposure to the Knicks side of the game does make sense, and you're just going to want to find some way to get a little bit different. The fact that the Knicks guys are carrying ownership right now suggests that maybe that isn't the best way to get different, and Brow is also going to be owned. So you might want to start, thinking about ways to do that. Maybe a leverage play of LeBron instead of Brow to end. Maybe somebody like Devin Booker instead of Brow to end the slate. But that's just where I would start off going into this. As far as chalk that I would consider fading, as noted, Jaden Hardy would be the first guy that I would consider fading at 51% ownership. I mean, Jaden Hardy has had some really awful games in situations where you would just expect him to absolutely smash. So it could get ugly in a hurry if you fade Hardy and he has a good game. But I mean, he's shown us that he's not easy to trust. And really, you can go right down the line with the Mavs guys. I like Dallas here, but if you want to get different from the field in a hurry, you could fade some of the chalky Mavs guys that maybe you don't really feel confident about. And then I'd also look to get away from Anthony Simons, maybe Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo. Like, these just are not guys that I feel great about on this slate. But for the most part, everybody else looks good. That's going to do it for this 4-game slate. Pretty much a easy walkthrough here. But I'd start with the Mavs. I would probably avoid paying all the way up for Giannis and just find a good way to get different on the slate. If I help you in any way, please like and subscribe, and good luck tonight.